Hello everyone, welcome back to our homestead. We're glad you're here. Today we're going to take you on a tour of our homestead and show you how everything is set up. So come along with us. Like you don't get enough mice to eat. We're going to start with this side of the homestead, behind the camera. First I'm going to show you how the property is laid out. We are in a big V, essentially. This is the slim part behind the barn, and it V's out this way, so it gets much wider on the other side. That has posed some challenges to setting up the homestead, and if you have a piece of property like this, we hope this helps you out. Let's check out what's behind us first, which is the barn, the shop, and what used to be the old stable that we're going to utilize for some other things. So here's the shop. You've seen me do some projects out here before. I do a lot of metalworking out here. You saw me replace the ballasts in those lights, and as you can see, I've got a few more to do. But this is a great space because it gets a little breeze. It's outdoor, it's open air on one side, and I just open the door on the other side to get some nice breeze through there when I'm doing hot metal work and things like that. So let's go into the barn, let's show you that. So here we are in the barn, and this is such a blessing. We've got a garage door attached to it where we can pull our vehicles in and change oil, brakes, whatever we need to do, maintenance on our vehicles, and pull things in the wintertime and lock them up, or lock them up if we're gone. So it's fantastic. We're so blessed to have this place. I don't even utilize, it has a second story. I'm not even utilizing that. That was used by two previous owners to store a lot of greenhouse equipment, and some of it's even up there. We have yet to bring it down and put it into good use here on the homestead, but that's all right. This is where we do a lot of woodwork and a lot of projects, just putting things together. Things that you've seen me do in the past, you know, little projects here and there, like the gray water recycling system and the leaf collection system that we made for our riding lawnmower. But here we store all of our tools. It's not conditioned, but it's insulated, so it's a little bit better. I wish it was conditioned because some of those tools rust, but that's okay. We're, like I said, blessed to have this thing, and I hope one day to get upstairs and utilize the rest of it. Let's go over to the stable part, show you where we are going to put the chicken coop, which is one of our upcoming projects. Look at this big, wonderful space. This is about 30 by 30, and it was an old stable. It's attached to the barn. We're utilizing it to currently house our equipment, like our tractor and our riding lawnmower and our extra vehicle, because it's good to keep those things out of the elements. But we will also be putting our chicken coop in here. So we'll be getting animals back in here, and that is going to go in the back corner. It's going to be cool because it's going to be indoor. We're going to make an outdoor run. So stay tuned for that project. So if you take a look behind us, you'll see our garden. You're going to see it's in close proximity to our house, and we did that for a reason. We've got several friends who have lived out or have moved out of the city and started a country lifestyle, and they placed their gardens a considerable distance away from their house, and it was a big mistake for them. They have to walk a good distance to be down in the garden and away from the house, and for them it just wasn't convenient when, you know, harvesting vegetables. So we recommend that you plant your foodstuffs as close to your home as possible. Now on this property, this was the most open space that we had. The other portion of the property that we'll take you over does have some open space, but it's a good distance away from the house, like I said. So this was the perfect spot. Even though maybe the light is just a little bit less on this spot, it's fairly open, so we're going to get some great sunlight for our fruits and veggies. Beyond that, we're going to take you down and show you where the greenhouse is and where our second orchard is, because we planted a first one, but it was too far from the house. So let me explain to you why we did this second orchard. Right on the west side of our property, on the west side of our garden, right along our neighbor's pasture fence, is our well house, and it's beautiful because it's centrally located from between our barn, our house, and our garden. That is also another reason why we placed the garden in the proximity that it is in, so we could have easy access to that well water. We're at the start of the fall planting season, so this garden looks a little bare right now, but we've done a lot of gardening videos. You can go check that out. We've got a ton of them on the channel here and helping you do gardening. So I'm not going to really take you on a tour of the garden today. We've done that a lot before. Why on earth am I standing in front of my gate? Well, because I am so excited that we found a property that is completely fenced in. That's a really difficult thing to find sometimes, and it has been such a huge value to us. So if you're looking for a country property, I highly recommend that you do find something. If you're not going to build right away, or if you're not going to build and you want to find a home that's already standing, already built, find a place that's fenced. Fencing can be expensive depending on how big your property is, and we have 8 acres. And it's been amazing, keeping the dog in, keeping my kids in, keeping other things like pigs out, wild pigs, which are so terrible in this part of Texas and dangerous for our animals and for my kids. So that is a huge deal for us. Now, without a drone, it's going to be hard to show you the whole scope of the property, but we're trying our best here. And behind me, you can see my home, our greenhouse. Over here on my right is the garden, and over here on my left is our second orchard, I call it. So the reason I'm talking about this second orchard is because we planted one on our other property. I'm going to take you over there in a second. Let's take a look at this first one, and the reason that it's here is also proximity to the house. It's a lot easier to take care of, and also proximity to the barn where a lot of our tools are. It's a ton easier to take care of if these things are located close to your home, especially that greenhouse in the wintertime. If you're growing greens in there and you want to go get something to eat for your lunch or dinner, you're not traveling a really far distance to go get it in the cold. Also, if you're heating it a certain way, you don't have to travel a far distance to go keep an eye on how that heating system is doing in your greenhouse in the winter. Let's show you what we've got in the second orchard. Here you can see just how close this orchard is to our house. Now we've got figs and apricots, apples and pears, and we've got our grapevines and we've got our blueberry bushes just right here next to the house. Now, if you're a farmer, this really isn't going to work. You're going to want, obviously, a bigger space, far away from your structure, because it's going to be different farming. But if you're a home gardener, a homesteader that's utilizing this for your own personal use, for canning, making jellies and jams and things like that, having it right next to your house is a huge advantage. It's been such a blessing having this so close to the house that we actually added a pear tree, a persimmon, another fig, and some more grapes this year right in this area. And we're going to be building another grapevine trellis, and we're going to show you how to do that in an upcoming video. But let's go take you on the other part of the property that is maybe a little underutilized at this time, but we still obviously love having it. So we're kind of at the center of our property right now. We're down here at the lowest point. The property slopes down from behind me to this point, and then it goes back up behind the camera here. And this is a dry creek, and it catches all the water from not only from our property, but the properties across the road over there. And there's a huge stand of trees here, a lot of sweet gum trees and a lot of pine trees in this part of East Texas. Unfortunately, they're not good for burning in a wood stove. We do have a couple of oaks, but I don't see myself cutting them down anytime soon, so we will be buying some firewood for our stove. Let's take you over on the other part of the property, which is actually bigger. It's 4.5 acres over here. It's 3.5 acres behind me. So if you're thinking about a homestead, let me highlight that. We've got a lot of things stuffed on that 3.5 acres, and we could probably put a lot more if it wasn't for our drain field for our septic being in the place that it is. But we are going to be adding, you can always add a ton of fruit trees all over your property. We need to keep a place clear for solar, and we need a place for that greenhouse to have the proper sun orientation. But beyond that, having this extra property over here is a blessing, and we're going to be doing some things, some cool things in the future over here. Let's take you over into what we've got here and show you the orchard on this side. So here is the other orchard, I call it. This orchard was started by the previous homeowner because he was going to split the land in two and build his dream home over here and rent the other portion out. But he never ended up doing that. He sold the entire thing to us. So he had these fruit trees planted over here, and you saw us harvesting pears from the one pear tree that he did plant, and it's been a nice producer. We also added to that, so we expanded the orchard here, but unfortunately it is a decent distance away from the house, and I'm just not able to keep an eye on it as much as I do all the other things. Now that's really important. You have to continuously keep an eye on your fruit trees and your garden to see if they're being attacked by bugs or disease or things like that. And getting over here is just maybe a little bit more difficult than doing everything over by the house. So I'm not going to expand this orchard anymore, but we are going to be doing maybe a cool off-grid structure on this side in the near future. But let's take you up and show you something that is native to Texas, and it is a huge blessing to have on the property, and that's up in this direction. Well, here they are. These are some really old native pecan trees that are here on the property. They're very big, and they still produce a ton of pecans. So we're very fortunate to have these. In a situation that you want to be more self-sustainable, having these as a source of good nuts, good protein is just a wonderful thing. So I'm up here at the far corner of the property, and as you can see behind me, there's a lot of open space. There is a lot of trees, and some maybe need to be cleared if we're going to do some other things to the property, but we are going to be probably utilizing this space for an off-grid cabin that can be utilized for guests here on the property. So that's a cool project we're going to do in the future, and make sure you stick around on the channel to check that one out. So it's really important to think about where the sun is on your homestead. That is going to make a big difference in where you place, obviously, your greenhouse and your garden and your fruit trees. Most things need full sun. Now, there are obviously things that don't, like lettuces and so on and so forth for fall planting, but you can figure out where to put those in your garden so that they get a little bit less sun. We have got a nice big open space right in the center, but we do have tall trees on both the east and the west side of the property. So we did have to take that into consideration when we placed our garden as well. Finding a flat spot and finding it in the proper sun are challenging things to do sometimes, but you must do it to get the best possible growth out of all of your vegetables in your garden. Now, something that we're going to have to keep in mind is to not fill in all that space that gets the best sun, because we are going to be adding solar to our home as we continue to transition to go off-grid. And we need to consciously plan about where those things are going to be, and you need to do that too. Every inch of your property is really important, and watching where that sun goes both in the winter and the summer is an important observation to make. I hope you can see me. It is super bright out here, but this is a great time to talk about the orientation of our greenhouse. Our greenhouse is oriented directly east to west. Now, you want to do that so that you get the most efficient use of that sun in your greenhouse along the crops that you plant. In whatever configuration you do your crops, whether you're planting them in the ground or whether you are putting them in pots, orienting that greenhouse east to west is the absolute best way to do it. Now, yes, you can orient it north to south. You're just not utilizing that sun is best. So if you can, do it east to west, and that's how we've done it. Thanks for being here with us, everyone, on the tour of our homestead. Now, something you didn't see was any area for livestock. One, because we don't plan on having any, except if you want to count the chickens. Although the discussion of sheep for the family is in the works, and I would like to. The other family members might not want to. I don't know. We're going to cross that bridge when we come to it. But no goats, no pigs, no cows, no horses, nothing like that on the property. It's just not something that we do. Now, I know that's important to a lot of homesteaders, and planning that into your homestead property is important. But we hope you found the information that we gave you in locating your gardens, your orchards, your greenhouse, and things like that in proximity to your home for ease of use. It was helpful. And if it was helpful, we want you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell, share it on social media, and share it with all your friends, because we're here and we're trying to make videos that are helpful for homesteaders that do different things, and we're so thankful that all of you are here. So we will see you next week on our next video. Don't forget, we have a new video come out every Tuesday. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.